Alright, so the last video cut me off because I have the free version of this software, so I'm limited to how long I can make my videos. So anyway, I was talking about the RBC alerts, and once you go to the link and you put all of your information in, then you'll get text messages and emails when there's like weather or different things like that that you need to know about that's going on campus. All right, so for the last part of our first half of the lecture is just a little activity for you to fill out some about me questions. I have put them on the lecture assignment so you can see those if you scroll down, just so I can get to know you a little bit better. All right, moving on to the second half of this module. So I'm going to start this class by talking about some reminders. Then we're going to go over instructor expectations. So basically, what do your teachers expect of you once you are in college? We are going to look at email etiquette and also academic honesty. So reminders for you, please work on your assignments throughout the week. Do not wait until right before the due date to start working on them because chances are you probably won't leave yourself enough time. So plan out your week ahead of time, give yourself enough time to work on all of your assignments, and that goes for your other classes as well. The next reminder, please read all of the directions. So for example, on the discussion board posts, it will tell you that you have to answer the question and it says that you have to respond to 2 classmates. And a lot of times I will get students who just answer the discussion post and then don't do anything else. So that shows me that you're either not reading the directions or you just don't care to complete the assignment. So please make sure you're reading everything before you start that assignment. In a similar way, look at the rubric before doing the assignment. I went over rubrics in the last video, so you can see the different categories that I'm going to grade you on for each assignment and how many points each category is worth. There are descriptions that go with those as well, so please look at them before you do the assignment so you know what is expected of you. A reminder, if you did not know, you have free access to Microsoft Word and actually the whole Microsoft suite. There is a link on the RBC webpage, and then you just put your information in, you download it to your computer, and then since you are a student at RBC, you have free access to that. So if you need a word processor, Microsoft Word is available. All right, the warm-up question for this part is if you could go either forward to the future or back in time, which would you choose and why? I think I would go back in time, and if I had to choose a specific time period, I think I would choose like the mid-60s, 1960s, that kind of hippie culture. They had really great music, so I would like to, be around some of those musicians or like see some live music. I think that would be really cool. All right, moving on to instructor expectations. Are instructors responsible to tell you when assignments are due? No, they are not. That is why you have Eagle, you have the syllabus that has everything listed for you, and then those things will also come up on Eagle and on that calendar view. So you are responsible for knowing when all of your assignments are assigned, when they're due. Your instructors might talk about them in class. They might not ever mention them. You are still responsible for them. Is attendance important? Yes, attendance is important. Some instructors will give you points for attendance, some do not. But even if they do not give you points for attendance, you still need to go to class because if you don't, you're going to be missing important information. Let's see if this will click. What should you do if you are going to be absent? So you need to contact your instructor ahead of time if possible to let them know that you are going to be missing class. So usually a short email is enough. You don't necessarily have to go into a lot of detail, but just letting them know if you're sick or if there's a family emergency or something like that. I would also suggest asking your instructor if there's anything you need to do because you missed class. So if there's anything that you need to know or any work that you need to make up. So using the excuse, but I wasn't here that day. That doesn't fly in college. If you miss class, you are still responsible for what was taught that day. You are still responsible for any assignments that were due that day. And so if you miss a class and then 2 weeks down the road, your instructor references something that happened from that day in class and you don't know what they're talking about, you can't say, oh, but I wasn't here. Right? It's your responsibility as an adult student now to make sure that you have covered everything that you're responsible for, whether you were in class or not. How can you make sure you go to class? So I've talked to some students who set alarms for themselves to make sure that they go. Some students who give themselves a little reward if it's a tough day and they don't feel like going to class, stopping at Dunkin' or Starbucks or something like that. But you do need to have kind of a plan in place for like, okay, if I just don't feel like going to class today, what's going to motivate me to get me there? What can you do if you are struggling in class? So this is more that academic piece. So we have lots of different services on campus that you can use. If you are in a math class, there is the math lab on the math floor that you can go to for tutoring. They also have a Zoom option in the evenings. So if you're an online student, you can still take advantage of that. We have the Writing Center, which is in the basement of the Student Center. So that's primarily for your English classes or any other class that you might be writing an essay or a paper in. They will help you with that process. And then we have the Tutoring Center that is right across the hall from the Writing Center. And that's going to help you with any other subject areas that you might need help with. So those are the 3 areas for tutoring that you can use. You can also do things like reach out to your instructor through Eagle. Ask if there's anything extra that you can do. There's a lot of different online services, different websites that you might be able to get help with. But make sure you are reaching out and talking to somebody and asking for help if you are struggling. Okay, moving on to email etiquette. So at this point, I am going to give you a minute to watch this video. It's kind of a funny video about how to email and how not to email. So you can go ahead and pause this video and then watch the email video and then come back to this lecture. So some tips about emailing in college. You should email like you are at work, which means the tone of your email should be professional and you should be using language that's professional. So basically, email your professors and instructors like you would if you were emailing your boss. You should identify yourself and the class that you are in at the very beginning of the email. So instructors have different sections of the same class. They have many students who are taking those sections. And typically you might have somebody who has the same name as you, especially the same first name. So make sure you're identifying who you are, first and last name, and the section of class that you are in. Be specific about what you need when you are emailing your instructor. If you are vague about something that you don't understand, they're not going to be able to help you. So you need to ask specific questions and explain to the instructor exactly what you're emailing them about. Also plan ahead. If you have a question about an assignment or something in class, don't email them at the last minute and expect a response. So if your assignment is due at midnight and you email them at 9 p.m. on a Thursday night, chances are you're not going to get a response before your assignment is due. Most professors will respond within 24 to 48 hours in the work week. So that means weekends do not count in that. You might get lucky and they might respond to you over the weekend, but don't assume that they will. So evening hours and weekend hours, you need to plan ahead because you may not get a response as quickly during those times. All right, let's go ahead and look at an example email that I have written and put a little screenshot on here for. So it says, what is wrong with this email? So we are sending it to me. We're pretending that I am in my own class, sending it to me. We have a blank subject line, and the email says, I don't get paper 2. So some things right off the bat, there is not a subject line. So I, as the instructor receiving this email, would have no idea what this email or message in Eagle, I would have no idea what it's about before I open it. I might even be put off to reading it if there's no subject, because I might think, well, this isn't important if they couldn't even tell me what it's about. Okay. Then in the body of the email, I don't get paper 2. So some things that did not happen in this email, there's no greeting, right? I did not greet the instructor. I did not say who I was. I did not say what class I was in or when I was taking this class with the instructor. Also, saying I don't get paper 2 is not a specific request. So I don't know as an instructor how to answer that because I don't know what the student is struggling with. I also don't have a signature at the end. There's no sign off and there's no name. And also this is just a very short message. It's not very polite. So just a lot of things that could be improved with this one. Okay, let's look at an improved email on the next slide. All right, how is this email better? So we have a subject line, STU 100 question. So right off the bat as an instructor, I know that this student is asking me something about my STU 100 class. Then the body of the email, good morning. I start with a nice greeting. I'm using some manners. I am in your Tuesday, Thursday STU 100 class. Okay, I have identified myself as what class, what section that I am in. I have a question about the directions for reflective paper number 2. So right off the bat, I'm using the exact name of this assignment instead of just saying paper 2. I'm using the name that it's used, like posted as under Eagle. It says I should explain how I can use my learning style to help take notes, but I'm not sure how to do that. Would it be okay for me to look up some ideas on the internet? So that's a specific question that the instructor can answer. Is it okay to use ideas on the internet for this paper? And they can email you yes or no, and it's very easy for them to respond to that. Thank you for your time, Emma Toole. So I have a sign off. I have thanked the instructor for reading this email and taking the time to help me, and I've signed my first and last name so they know exactly who I am.